Hi everyone, I'm Krishan Veer. I'm part of Cisco DevNet. I'm technical lead at Cisco and I'm a developer advocate at Cisco DevNet. I focus on Cisco security technologies and I'm really excited to spend next 30 minutes with you guys. Um, this is awesome that you are here, first of all, because you took up this challenge to participate in Smart India Hackathon. And it's a great platform, Smart India Hackathon, which actually is encouraging you to solve real world problem. As a student, that's pretty awesome. Um, and so I'm going to try my best that next 30 minutes are enjoyable and you probably will learn something and will have some pointers to solve the problem statement which we have put under security track. And so the session which you have joined with me, its topic is network security. So I will be focusing mostly on security aspects and especially drilling down on NGFW because that component is what you will be using to deliver your solution. And it will be very helpful if you understand some concept around it. And there will be some demos as well. So let's look at the problem statement. In my opinion, computing devices, whether it is a computer or a smartphone or a tablet, has become integral part of a classroom. Sometimes schools provide these devices and they can control them really, really well, what can be accessed through them. But most of the time, schools don't have enough funds and probably ask students to bring their own devices. These devices are very integral part of the curriculum. They teachers run a lot of rich curriculum on these devices which is available on web, and sometimes they even conduct exam on these devices. So at that time, I think when the devices have been used in the school or in the college, teachers want some control. They want to make sure that the productivity of the class is high, they are not getting distracted by other content, social media content or any other type of content but other than learning. And hence they would like to get some control that when the class is going on their devices, if they are using the wireless service from the school, they should be able to control the content which is being accessed through these or the URLs or the websites or domains being accessed through these devices. So it's very simple use case. It's very important use case because these devices are extremely important and very integral part of the learning, and this increases the productivity of the class. This increases the learning of the class as well. So that's our statement, and I think that we can achieve this using network entities like access points and some security entities like next generation firewalls. Those technology components can be used, and simple web development like developing a portal for teacher to go block certain URLs. So these are the concepts you would read to create some really nice application to help productivity of teacher. So so let me put some context behind this problem statement. And this is true for school, this is true for organizations. If you have a company, it's true for the company as well. Um, Everyone is embracing digital transformation. It's an awesome time to live on earth. Everything is online. Devices are extremely cheap. Everyone can afford these devices, and they are actually making us extremely productive. We can actually go from interacting with our social network to an awesome course on MIT and learn about artificial intelligence. So this is changing our lives, both at work, at school, at our home, and it has changed our lives significantly. But it has come with a price. So all good things, like economists generally say, there are no free lunches. So what it has done, this move towards digitization has done has make us vulnerable towards attack as well. So I will present a little bit of stats. Like 90% of organizations are not fully aware which of the devices accessing their network. It's kind of like a sad statistics. which adversaries will take totally advantage of. By 2020, 2/3 of the traffic will be all IP based. 21 billion IoT devices are expected to join internet, and 80% of the traffic will be encrypted. That means there will be even less visibility on what is happening on your network. Threats are constantly evolving and getting smarter. This is another twist on the pain points, is that its constant evolution is going on. The adversaries are very highly motivated, both financially, and sometimes they are even supported by government organizations. So, and they can create targeted attacks, so they can customize a attack towards a particular organization. The attack is becoming more and more sophisticated as well. And if you look from adversaries' perspective, they are doing an investment, right? So if they are investing, they don't want to be detected without a payoff. So they are building more sophistication in hiding themselves as we are creating more tools to expose them. There are some threats which are from inside. These threats doesn't necessarily need to be malicious. These can be simple errors created by users, and these errors can be like somebody wants to be very productive and wants to share certain document with their colleagues or coworkers or their customers, and they put that document into the cloud, and without unknowingly exposing IP or exposing information which can be vulnerable at any given time sitting in that cloud. So there are that type of threats which are out there as well. So if you look at the average time, it takes around 191 days on average to detect these threats, and it takes around 66 days to contain them. So if you look from the adversary's perspective, from their angle, they would like to increase this time of detection. And if you look from a defense point of view, you would like to reduce this time of detection and containment. So if you look from the effective security posture point of view, you have this timeline, and you are fighting against time. Basically, time is very precious in this, and so you have to identify threat and respond to them extremely fast. So if you can collapse this time and make it really, really short time of detection and response, then your security posture is very effective. And everyone in the organizations, especially the security teams in organizations, are focused to achieve this. So how do you go about doing effective security? So the first part is you gotta understand your network, right? What is on your network? You have access points, you have firewalls, you have switches. Those are your network components. Then you have users, who are the users of your network. You have servers, you have server apps, you have client, you have operating systems. It may be Mac, it may be Windows, it may be smartphones, iOS or Android. Then your files, like what files have been used mostly by your users, whether PDF, JPEGs, or what type of applications most of your users are using. So understanding and building that knowledge about your network is extremely important, and it's the first step. The second step would be is to do kind of like a vulnerability assessment. What are the weaknesses? Where are we exposed? And figuring that out is extremely important. Both on the client side, on the users, whether they have the strong passwords, what applications they are using mostly, what vulnerabilities are in those applications. If most of the used operating system is Mac, what vulnerabilities exist on Mac, and how do we keep a track of it, right? And what files are mostly used, what vulnerabilities exist on those. So figuring that out is the second step, figuring out your weaknesses. The last step to it is that you already know what you have on your network. You already figured out using penetration testing or whatever techniques you used, you figured out all the vulnerabilities of your network and all the assets in your network. The next step is to secure it. based on those vulnerabilities, you figure out what entities you will add to secure it, what tools you will add to secure it, right? So and then what you get is intelligence from like policy violations, intrusion events, gives you some intelligence what malware is flowing through the network, whether it is endpoint security components like AMP, or it can give you those information. Or and then you have this threat intelligence which is coming from outside organizations, such as our Cisco Telus, which has awesome threat intelligence. So you collect that, you build a team, and it's a constant cycle. You go through this cycle over and over again to protect, right? So one of the important component in this whole thing is firewalls. So the question to be asked is, what do you expect from the firewalls? So there's an evolution which is going on firewalls, and we have now next generation firewalls. The expectation is that the breaches which are happening should be automatically detected, so that there is a continuity of business. There is also a huge strive that we should have a lot of visibility in security and network, and can we detect and stop threats quicker. And third, which is very important part, is can we automate most of the operation to save time, to reduce complexity, as the APIs are available on them or not. Can we create smart workflows using the next generation firewall? So these are kind of like a new demands which is out there. So Cisco Firepower NGFW is our next generation firewall, which is fully integrated threat platform. The integration extends beyond simple security services and includes integration across networks and endpoints. And with other Cisco security platform, like for example, you see here ICE, which is identity-based policy control. Our threat focus capabilities are industry leading, both for known and unknown threats, using NGIPS and M functions. So one of the reasons why our NGIPS solution is very good or industry leading is because it is backed by Telus Intelligence. And with Cisco Firewall, I think most of our customers know that they are protected automatically, and one of the big reason is Telus. It's a team of 250 plus threat researchers and analysts. They work with massive data sets, create protections in the form of security intelligence feeds and SNOT rules for known threats and unknown threats, emerging threats, and zero-day attacks. And then these feeds are pushed to Cisco NGFW automatically to keep the customer safe. So one of the requirements for the new generation, as we discussed earlier, is can you automatically prevent the breaches? And this is why I think we differentiate ourselves from the competition is the intelligence which is coming from Telus. So this is something which you get along with Cisco firewalls. So there are many ways you can deploy the NGFW. I have to simplify for you, if you plan to use for your challenge in the hackathon Cisco NGFW, I think your best bet would be go inline and route it, because most likely you will be downloading a virtual image which you will be running in VMware infrastructure, and I'll show you where to go and download the image with the 90-day evaluation license. So these are there are multiple modes available. Some of these modes are available with conjunction of running Cisco FMC along with your NGFW, which is one of the managers, and I will cover a little bit about that. But here, just to make the life simple, if you decided that you will use a Cisco NGFW as one of the firewalls in your solution, then you can go download it for a 90-day evaluation license and use the local manager on it, which is Firepower Device Manager, and I'll cover that a little bit towards the end of this presentation. And the method, the way which you will deploy it is the mode you will do it is inline and routed. This is one of the functionality which we provide to along with the NGFW. Basically, NGFW can do deep packet inspection and filter traffic based on the URL categories, and these categories can are provided by Telus. For example, there is this gambling category we saw in the example, social network, porn websites or porn sites, or you can even create your own custom categories, or you can create custom URLs and you can block them, and that is the functionality you will end up using in your hackathon challenge. I will show you guys a little bit like how it looks like on the NGFW, and that will give you a good idea about this picture. So moving forward, let's look at the management options. So there are multiple management options to manage these boxes. So for example, if you have a single box, and most likely in your solution, to show your solution, you will have a single box or 2 boxes or 3 boxes, then Firepower Device Manager is the way to go. It's very easy. It's almost like using, if you have configured a Linksys router or your home router, any home router, it made simple like that. It has API, a full-blown API on it, which you will leverage to communicate from your web portal, which you will create for your solution. And so this is the way to go. If you have more than 10 or plus boxes, or if you're a large enterprise, you have deployed multiple boxes, maybe hundreds of them, then you go more towards the centralized management, which is Firepower Management Center. And there is a cloud-based solution now available, which we call Cisco Defense Orchestrator. For this solution, for this hackathon, I think most of you will probably focus on box device manager, which is FDM. So let's go look a little bit deeper into this device manager. As I said, the 3 things which you can actually totally be sure of, it's very easy to set up. You can control access and you can set policies. You can do full configuration either using UI or using APIs. It has role-based access control. It's high availability. It has VPN support. You can do the URL filtering, which will be required for this a challenge, and I will show you guys a little bit in the demo as well. So this is a quick introduction. So FDM has full-blown REST API exposed on the device. You can do OAuth-based authentication to get access. It has a web-based built-in API Explorer because the API is built using OpenAPI spec. So you have browsable documentation right on the box, and which helps significantly when you are building code around it. So we will look a little bit into it, and I'll show you a small demo because it will be very helpful if you decided to use NGFW with FDM functionality in your challenge. So what can you do with this API? Pretty much like you can manipulate all the policy objects, whether it networks, ports, security zones, applications, URLs, which is very important in your use case. You can actually manage most of your policies, access, NAT, security intelligence, identity, SSL policies, and you can do some additional inspection, intrusion, and malware. So all these functionalities are available through API. You can do full interface configurations. Some of the routing is being supported. I think mostly it's the static routing which is supported. So you can use that for those purposes as well. You can do some of the platform settings manipulations as well, but I don't think for your challenge you are required all of these things. But these functionalities are out there. If you decided to use uh, DevNet Sandbox just to get started, just to play with the technology, I think this is the best route to go. In this sandbox, what we have is that you can go to developers.cisco.com, and I can quickly demo you guys what I mean. So if we go to sandbox, this is developer.cisco.com, discover, and you go to the sandbox, you go to security, sandbox. There are multiple sandboxes which are available here. So one of the good thing about reserving sandbox is that you don't have to download anything, you don't have to get anything going. You can just quickly play with NGFW and see whether it suits your challenge or not. And that's the best part. You can use any of these social logins to log in. If you have Cisco ID, that is very, very good. You can use your Cisco ID and you can go ahead and use this. So once you authenticate yourself, you will be dropped into this page, and over here you see is where you will go and reserve your sandbox. This is a standalone sandbox for just FTD. So what you get from this sandbox is once you press this reserve button, it will reserve that box for you. So you get a developer box and you get a standalone NGFW to play with. And you will get, once you press this reserve button, this sandbox will be reserved for you, and you will be communicated via email how you're going to access this. And most likely you're going to be accessing this through AnyConnect. So you have to download the Cisco AnyConnect VPN client. The credentials will be provided to you. So in this sandbox, we also give you a developer workstation. So just in case if you don't have your Python infrastructure set up, this box has, don't worry about it. So this is something really quickly you can get started on, which is pretty awesome if you want to play with Cisco and GFW. If you want to set up your own lab, I would recommend that you get VMware infrastructure going, and then you can go to software.cisco.com/download, and here you can find the virtual image of NGFW. Depending on what infrastructure you want to run on, we have different images over there. So you could see VMware ESI images there. There is a KVM image. So you can look at what image fits you. I would recommend that you download that image, and then you can actually use 30-day eval license to use the NGFW. So let's quickly look at how the UI looks like for the NGFW. So you type in the URL, it will prompt you for your admin and password, whatever you have configured. This is how it looks like. So what we are focusing on is the policies, and mostly on the access control policy side. If you look at it, I have certain rules which I have created here. So like you have two options. So let's say if you want to create a new URL, you want to enter a name for the rule. I will call it like block social, and I'm gonna call it like I'm gonna block that, and in this I'm gonna go in the URL. I will look if there is a category which already exists. I can find those categories. Let's say for example over here I'm gonna look for social, and so here it's the social network category I found. So all the social network URLs which are there will be blocked, and so I create this rule. So I have this block social network. So either you can pick from the categories, or if you have it a URLs which you think you should, custom URLs you should block, you can do that as well. So you will add a new rule and you will say, hey, I would like to block, for example, block MSN, and then you will create that. The action would be that you want to block it, you want to block the user, the URL, and that URL, you're going to create a new URL, and you will say name is block MSN traffic. My description is block everything to MSN, and the URL would be http msn.com or whatever the URL is. And once you select that and you say okay, now the rule has been created here where you are blocking all the MSN stuff. So this is one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is the other part which is interesting is API Explorer. So this would be the URL to access the API Explorer, and as you could see, when I scroll down, I can get all possible endpoints I can look at which are available to use with this API. So moving on, I would like to show you guys one important asset which is available for you is learninglabs.cisco.com. It is part of Cisco DevNet. There we have some labs which are focused on FTM and how you can code against FTM. So I would highly recommend just going and trying these labs out before you get started on your challenges, because these labs have step-by-step directions to get started. Another thing which I would like to share with you guys, additional resources that I have with my colleague here, Jared. We have created awesome content, video content on the REST APIs, how you can code with REST APIs on FTD. So I would highly recommend that you go and watch these videos, and they will help you significantly in your challenge. So in mind the time, I hope this session was very helpful. Hope it has given some direction in terms of the challenge, the security challenge. And I think thank you so much for listening and taking up this challenge. You are trying to solve a very real world problem, and I wish you good luck on that. So feel free to visit developer.cisco.com anytime. It's full of resources. You want to learn coding, there are resources for that. You want to learn about Cisco network or networking in general, you want to learn about collaboration, you want to learn about security, it's full of resources. So hope to see you soon in one of our events, or always available on Twitter, @Cisco. So if you need any help and I can help you, please feel free to drop me a note. So thank you so much for your time and attention. Good luck.